Hey True Seekers, it is April 28th, 2015. Today's date numerology is 47 and 22. 47 represents complete foundation, 22 in numerology is the master builder number. And today in Baltimore, there is a curfew going into place from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. It is to stay in place for as long as necessary, possibly indefinitely. This was coming from Stephanie Rawlings Blake, the mayor of Baltimore, the same person with the name gematria of 96, like the word Freemason. But think about that, True Seeker. On this day of complete foundation, master builder, we're seeing a curfew in a major city, and it is being sparked over a hoax that is meant to divide us, cause us to hate each other, and further the agenda of building the police state in America. If you've never seen my work before, I began this video blog in August of 2014. The Michael Brown really got me pumped up, and I wanted to get out here and get out this knowledge that I've already had. And my written blog started in 2013. But even before that, True Seeker, this has been my life work. Since I was a young child, I've wanted to do what I could to make this world better. And coming from an environment of mostly minorities, being the lone white person in the neighborhood, I've often, had these feelings of wanting to help Black Americans, Hispanic Americans, and people of, not the best economic classes, as well as everyone else. I mean, everybody in this world needs healing, poor, rich alike. People of all races and religions. We need so much healing in this nation. And in doing this research, I've come to understand something a lot more deeply and specifically than I did before I did the research of numerology and gematria. Gematria is the practice of coding numbers into words. Since September 11th, I've pretty much had the television turned off. I didn't get cable television back until I started this written blog, and I've been watching TV for research purposes only. It's been a worthy cause because it's helped me learn and observe even more, such as what I've seen on TV today and what I'm going to talk about in this blog. But what I want to expose is that the TV is here to sabotage us as a people, to divide us over so many different things. And in this video post, it turns out it was my 30th, I talked about the show featuring Sherman Hemsley, where he introduced the word honky to television audiences. The name Sherman equals 33, the name Hemsley equals 33, and the word honky equals 33. And interestingly enough, all those words with S and K exception sum to 42 as well. We'll talk more about 42. If you've seen my recent video post, you know a lot about 42 already. But here, you can come back and watch this video post if you want. It's the 33rd one I ever did. I talk about the coding of 33 into words of hate. So that said, I want to show you what CNN did on their news program today. Here we go.
The mayor of Baltimore, who's come under a lot of criticism, scathing criticism for her handling of this, referred to the people who were doing this last night as thugs. And she got a lot of criticism for that. There were people I saw on Twitter saying, why would you call them thugs? Then they're not going to listen to you. President Obama also called the protesters, in his words today, quote-unquote, criminals and thugs. He also carefully chose to use that word. Isn't it the right word?
No, of course it's not the right word to call our children thugs. These are children who have been set aside, marginalized, who have not been engaged by us. No, we don't have to call them thugs.
But how does that justify what they did? I mean, that's a sense of right and wrong. They know it's wrong to steal and burn down a CVS and an old person's home. I mean, come on.
True Seeker, you know how she just said CVS? I want to point out that C is the third letter, V is the 22nd, S is the 19th. Add them together, it sums to 44. The protest for Freddie Gray began April 25th, 2015, a date with 44 numerology. The first major incident was a scuffle in front of Camden Yards, which has a gematria of 44. 44, like the 44th president, like the day MLK was assassinated that set off the riots in Detroit and many other places. The word kill equals 44. The word kill also equals 59 in Jewish gematria, which is a number connected to Black people and the city of Baltimore. Let's continue.
Come on, so calling them thugs, Just call them niggers. Just call them niggers. No, we don't have to call them by names such as that. We don't have to do that.
Now, Truth Seeker, I just want to say that I understand this man's point, but what the mainstream media has done, like they always do, is just taken the little segment and keep showing it over and over and asking if it was appropriate that he made these remarks. I mean, who cares? We get what he's trying to say. You're demonizing the black population. I was listening to a black talk radio show today. A caller called in and spoke about how Wolf Blitzer was making his blood boil because he was referring to all the protesters as gangsters, thugs, and other insulting terms. He said that not one remark was made speaking anything positive about people who would come out to protest. And this is so true, but it's not just true of black protesters, is what I want people to keep in mind. Anytime the media covers protesting, they show it in a negative light, reminding the mainstream zombie masses something to stay away from, something not to be involved with. You know? Our mainstream media is all about controlling perception and the way people think and behave. So we saw enough of that clip. Notice this man's name, though, Carl Stokes. Carl Stokes in history was the mayor of Cleveland. He died April 3rd, 96. Remember, 96, Freemason. April 3rd is the 93rd day of the year, having to do with Thelema, sacrifice. Yesterday they were hyphenating the phrase takeout, having to do with people killing police. Takeout sums to 93. But look at this. Carl Stokes has the name gematria of 33, just like Sherman and Hemsley and Honky and so many of the insults. If you do the S exception just on the front letter, which is acceptable, it's also 42, just like the word nigger that he used. And remember, Carl Stokes was once the mayor of Cleveland, a city with 33 gematria. We've seen some shooting hoaxes there this year. The Tamir Rice shooting hoax happened in Cleveland, also a 33 officer. But again, if you haven't seen my post on the racial hatred coding in our English language, this is very real, Truth Seeker. Many people know Jackie Robinson wore the number 42. If you go through history and pay attention to this number and where it comes up, it gets disgusting. In the O.J. Simpson trial, a trial all centered on the numbers 33, 47, 74, 42. Mark Furman said the word nigger 42 times in testimony, supposedly. 42 times. Sean Bell, a young black youth, was shot 42 times by police on November 25th, 2006. 11 plus 25 is 36, plus 6 more is 42. Shot 42 times on a date with 42 numerology. Ferguson and Missouri both equal 42. The initials M and B break down to 4 and 2. Recently, a black man was tasered for 42 seconds in the Carolinas. And yada, 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 right on down the line. Racial hatred coded into headlines that are all about hate. Look at the word nigger in gematria. N is the 14th letter. 1 plus 4 becomes 5. I is the 9th. N-I is 5-9. G-G is 7-7. E is the 5th. R is the 18th. 1 plus 8 becomes 9. This word has 2 5-9s coded into it. Negro equals 59. Slave equals 59. Blues music. Blues is black music traditionally. Invented by black men. Black musicians. 59. Miles Davis, one of the greatest black musicians in the history of the country. His name gematria is 59. He came out in the year 59, just like Motown Records. Baltimore, the third most populated city by black Americans, sums to 95. And another thing I heard listening to talk radio that I'm not sure is true, but what I heard from on the show was that Baltimore, once upon a time, in the time of slavery, there was an agency there that was all about catching runaway slaves. And that agency over time is what became the Baltimore Police, which is why it has been plagued with the racial problems it's had for all of its existence. With regards to this incident here in Baltimore, it's all about Freddie, which has a name gematria of 42, Gray 24, the flip of that. Michael Brown was shot on a date with 24 numerology. Ferguson and Missouri both equal 42, as I already said. And again, Carl Stokes in real life was from Cleveland. His initials sum to 24. And of course, he has the name gematria of 33. Truth Seeker, I want to show you something again. I just showed you how 59 is very much connected to black people in the language. Remember, I'm just the messenger here. I find this stuff sick, but not surprising, and I don't think many black people will either with open minds and who are paying attention. They know how brutal their history's been. Well, look at this. The word kill in Jewish gematria equals 59. 44. And again, Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated April 4th. The first black president is the 44th president. And I've always had my eyebrow up about that without even understanding numerology and gematria, because I always knew that Martin Luther King Jr. was shot on April 4th, 1 year to the day of coming out against the Vietnam War. He spoke against it on April 4th, 67. 4/4/67. So look at this. The Freddie Gray March begins on a date with 44 numerology, this past Saturday. The first big issue is at Camden Yards, which has 44 gematria. They've canceled the baseball games 2 days in a row. Tomorrow they're going to have the games, but they're not going to allow fans to attend. And then with regards to the looting and the fire, it began at CVS. Looting and fire, CVS. Simple English gematria, 44. And in the Ferguson, where they burned the buildings, it was all the buildings with the coded gematria as well. So easy to see through. O'Reilly's, where it started in Ferguson, equals 96, like Freemason, like Stephanie Rawlings Blake, the mayor of Baltimore. Same numbers over and over. Why? Because these Freemasons are a gang who are obsessed with these important numbers. Check out this article from today, Truth Seeker. If you think I'm mistaken about these numbers being coded onto black Americans, hold on to your lily white asses, as what's-his-face said at the correspondence dinner. Look at this crap. Just 42% of the residents in Freddie Gray's neighborhood are employed. 42% in Freddie's neighborhood. Freddie equals 42. Now here, you go down here and you look at the article in greater detail. Just 42% of the residents are employed compared to the national average of 59%. What did I just say about 42 and 59, Truth Seeker? These are the two numbers coded all over black people. And I guarantee you, if you take the time to do this research, you're going to find that the national average isn't 59%. That's part of how I caught on to this numerology and gematria and the media lying and manipulating numbers. I used to have a bunch of questions. Now I have answers. You got to ask the right questions to get the answers. Then look at the next thing. 33% of residential properties are vacant or abandoned. Oh, really? 33. Just 54% of its residents are even in labor force. With regards to the number 54, Truth Seeker, 54 is becoming of more importance right now. Loretta Lynch was nominated with 54 days left in the year. 54 years old. Obama's about to turn 54. The word love equals 54. 77%. This is a very Masonic number. 77th meridian cuts through Washington, D.C. 64, that's the number of Thelema. Thelema is about do what thou wilt and love. Both the words love and son sum to 54. This whole thing's coded, Truth Seeker. I'm surprised they didn't go with 4.4% here. Maybe that was a typo. Maybe the person didn't know their numerology and gematria as well as they should have. But, yeah, this stuff's just sick. This is what we've been living out our whole lives. Lie after lie. And with regards to projecting what's coming to the United States, here's a CNN's headline from a lot of yesterday, late into last night, early into this morning. Streets like a war zone, which has gematria of 84, and with the S exception, 102. And I'll show you what's interesting about 102. War zone with simple English gematria sums to 102. Truth Seeker. Go back to what Obama did on the eve of 2012. He signed the National Defense Authorization Act, which made the United States an active battleground in the war on terrorism. That's where we live right now. We live in an active battleground on the war on terrorism. We haven't seen a lot of war or terrorism. Not much. We saw September 11th, Boston Marathon, both hoaxes, both carried out by the same people who make these laws. But when you witness right now what's happening with the quickening of incidents and how fast things are being stirred up, I really do think some more Baltimores are coming to more cities and on a bigger scale. I think, we saw Ferguson, smaller. Now they've built it to Baltimore. Now you have to ask yourself, what's next? Will it be LA? Will it be New York? Will it be those cities at the same time plus other cities? They want this. They want the controlled chaos because then they can pass their legislation, further equip their police with more military equipment, more cameras, more spying, less liberty for us, more of a surveillance state. That's what this is really about. And it's also about killing the hearts and minds of all Americans who are still awake, and even those who aren't awake and who are already suffering. It's tragic, Truth Seeker. Yesterday, I just want to point out that when all this stuff started in Baltimore, the Dow dropped 42 points. Dow with simple English gematria equals 42. Dow Jones with Pythagorean, 33. And with the S exception, also 42. 42 points for Freddie. Here's Stephanie Rawlings Blake, born on the 76th day of the year, mayor of the city on the 76th meridian. Remember, the word police in gematria looks like this, Truth Seeker. Notice how it begins with 7-6 and then 3-9. 7-6-3-9, are you seeing that? 76th meridian, 39th parallel, Baltimore. So just the right city for a police hoax. Also, Baltimore police sums to 74, like the number of the martyr. With regards to police, the word officer also equals 44. And officers both kill and get killed. And these elites, they'll martyr everybody for their agenda. Citizens, police, we're all pawns on their chessboard. And one last point, Truth Seeker. If I didn't make it already, Baltimore has that gematria of 95, the flip of 59. And you think about it, one of the most populated cities by black Americans. Tragic stuff. And I know how well populations are controlled. Here in Seattle, South Seattle is where all the minorities live. Seattle's one of the most segregated cities in the whole nation. They say it's a forward-thinking city, a progressive city. That's just all a hot load of bullshit. It's a segregated city. It's archaic. So that's pretty much the message, Truth Seeker. I really want people to wake up, I really want to get this message out. It's sad to think that what's brought people out in Baltimore to protest is a lie, There's no doubt that black Americans suffer much injustice, and they have all the reason in the world to protest and be active and advocate for something. But look at what the media does with their provoking. They show a story of injustice in light of a bunch of other stories of injustice. It's not just Freddie Gray. I mean, how many stories have we been bombarded with? I can't even keep track. There's been so many recently. But I would hope that people would be able to see that none of these stories make sense. We've seen the video of Miller arresting Freddie Gray. He has his knee on his back. He looks like what police officers do to people all the time. I was arrested recently. Ironically, I was arrested by a black police officer. They're physical when they arrest you. They bend your wrist back more than they need to. They pad you up and down super hard like you're really packing something. As a people, we've always been treated like shit by police, no matter what color our skin is. Black Americans need to wake up to that too, so they don't feel so isolated. Look at how horribly Mexicans are treated in this country. Look at all the stereotypes against Asians. We've all been taught to hate each other. And right now, black Americans in the time of Obama are really being worked up on so many different levels. On one level, they see they have a black president who's acted like he doesn't even care about them. The best thing he's done for black America was reduce crack sentencing. And he only reduced it. He didn't get rid of it. The drug war is the most destructive thing against black Americans. It's purposeful. It's meant to enslave them. It's meant to put them in prisons. It's meant to make them into commodities for investors who make money off investing in prisons. The fastest built thing in America, at a much greater rate than schools. Truth seeker, wake up. There never was a Trayvon Martin. There never was a Michael Brown. The video of the Michael Brown shooting hoax is on TV. There's a dummy in the street for hours. The police build a big barricade around it, stand around it for a long time, and then load the dummy into a van. Not even an ambulance. Freddie Gray, nobody knows what happened to him. There's video of him being drugged into a van as well. And then we're told he died. Nobody really knows. And I guarantee you, if you go to Baltimore, nobody knows Freddie Gray because he doesn't exist. These are stories made up to provoke. In the same way 9/11 was a story made up to provoke. Yes, stuff happened on 9/11, but not the story we were told. So just a story. Just a lie for an agenda. For a Patriot Act. For wars of aggression. For poppy fields overseas. This is martyring a population to further an agenda. It's just sick. Kills me, truth seeker. Got to get this message out. All right, until next time.